Hello there and welcome to the matchday preview for Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. We play them tomorrow. We are away from home and it is a 12:30 kickoff against Crystal Palace. A tough game. I truly believe it will be a tough game. No matter the fact that Benteke is going to be out for Crystal Palace due to picking up a red card in the last game that he played, it's going to be a difficult game. We're going to go through predicted lineups and maybe look at some players for Crystal Palace that are very, very good as well, and making them look very good and getting results as well this season. But let me know what you think in the comments below as well. Liverpool had a great result midweek, but can we follow it up with a victory against Crystal Palace? Who do you think is going to be starting in this game, and how do you foresee this game going down tomorrow at 12:30? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, obviously, before we get into any of that, I just wanted to go through a little bit of news, and it's maybe, you will have seen it already, but it's something that I wanted to talk about just briefly, and it's actually some good news in terms of, injuries and people coming back. So, we've already seen Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has returned to the substitutes bench midweek against Tottenham. Naby Keita as well was due to come on in the dying minutes of that game to pretty much probably shore up us getting the 2-1 in that game as well. But they actually ran out of time and he didn't get to come on at all. But having these two players back is going to be brilliant. It's going to be fantastic to have these guys as options. Other people as well is James Milner, Xherdan Shaqiri and Thiago are meant to be joining in first team training from next week as well. So Thiago will be definitely stepping up his return from injury, a long-term injury as well, and getting the likes of James Milner and Xherdan Shaqiri back as well just gives us so much more depth. Xherdan Shaqiri in particular because he can play on the front line, but he can also play in the midfield. He's shown that he can do that as well, and he can deal with the physicality that's required in midfield. So it's actually really good to get some good news. I haven't seen anything about Joel Matip. I'm hoping that either he's not going to get risked or anything like that if he's not ready to come back, if he's not 100%. If there's any sort of risk of any of our players, that we shouldn't risk them in a game. It's not worth the risk to lose someone long term if you only lose them for short term. That's my opinion anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it's great news to have the midfielders, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita. I really miss Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I love Naby Keita as well. And they're such good options as well. They play so different to the rest of our midfield. Like, none of our midfielders really play the same, probably apart from maybe, Milner and Henderson. Probably the most similar that you could sort of see or compare. But it's such a great depth that we're starting to get in midfield as well. If we had that sort of depth in defence, I would never be worried. But we seem to be getting there as well. And that actually brings me on to what I want to talk about in terms of the lineups as well. Because I truly believe that if Joel Matip isn't 100% ready, or maybe he's just going to make the Liverpool bench as an option, I think if he's totally fine, and there's nothing wrong with him whatsoever, hasn't picked up any knocks or anything, I got to go with Reece Williams at centre-back. I do. What he did against Tottenham was fantastic. The performance that he did in that game as well, alongside Fabinho, was nothing short of exceptional. I don't care that we conceded a goal. That was a good goal. It was. We got caught out and we just didn't get back in time. That's fine. No worries. We went on to win the game. No problem. But Reece Williams' individual performance was brilliant. It was outstanding. And it wasn't just because he's a young guy. He's been doing it in the Champions League as well when he made his debut. And even, since then, he's done very, very well every time he's been on the pitch. Making his debut in the Premier League against Tottenham, against Harry Kane, and, keeping a striker like that quiet is nothing short of exceptional for someone of his age. And he'll be buzzing. He'll have a lot of positivity. He'll be absolutely on cloud nine almost, if he's not already there. But he seems like a level-headed young lad, works hard, plays well, and if he's available and if he wants to play, or if Joel Matip isn't ready to come back into the team, I'm quite happy going with Reece Williams. I'm also quite happy going with Nat Phillips as well. Whether they want to whether they want to give Fabinho any sort of rest, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think Fabinho will be in the centre-back role for this game as well. But Nat Phillips as well would be a brilliant option if it's not going to be Reece Williams, if it's not going to be Joel Matip. So, I'm going with Reece Williams and Fabinho. Let me know what you think of that in the comments below. Alisson in goal, Trent and Robertson as our fullbacks. That's pretty much how I'm going anyway. Now, the predicted lineup in the SofaScore app is saying that they're going to go with Gini Wijnaldum, Jordan Henderson, and Naby Keita. I like that midfield. I'm not opposed to that midfield. But for me, I'm putting Curtis Jones in where Naby Keita is placed. Nothing against Naby Keita whatsoever, but I see no reason to take Curtis Jones out of the team. Curtis Jones is in a very, very good moment right now, and maybe this is just actually the level of class that he is as a footballer. This might be his permanent zone as a footballer, and if that's the case, keep him in the team. As long as he's fit 100% or as close to 100% as you can get, and he plays anywhere like he did against Tottenham, and the performances that he's put in previously, he's got to be in the midfield for me, alongside Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum, and that almost looks like a trio partnership that is building very well, and it's looking solid. It's looking good. They work hard for each other. They all work hard for the team. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. Now, for me as well, I would say, here it has a predicted lineup of the front three being Divock Origi, Firmino, and Salah. It's not going to be that. I would be very, very surprised if it would be that, honestly. Unless Mane is injured for some particular reason and there is no other option, fair play, go with that. No problem. But for me, it will be Mane, Firmino, and Salah. It's just how it will be. With Shaqiri out, Divock Origi not informed, Jota also missing as well. Minamino also, Minamino would be more of an option for me over Divock Origi, especially in a wide role. A wide role doesn't suit Origi anymore. It did when he first came to Liverpool. He could play in off the left-hand side and cut in because he had a bit more pace. But he doesn't seem to have that little burst and explosion of pace and, getting into the box from cutting in from that side. Doesn't seem to have that anymore. He's a big guy. You could play him as a centre-forward, but then what do you do with Bobby Firmino? It doesn't work. It doesn't fit with the current setup that we can play. So for me, it's going to be Mane, Firmino, and Salah. And if anyone's going to be missing out of that front line, then I'd say that Minamino would be the guy that steps in for them. So let's have a look at Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace are currently 12th in the table, but this table is tight from not bottom, because Sheffield United have only got 1 point, but pretty much from bottom to top. It is a very, very, very tight table. Probably one of the tightest tables this far into a season. So this will be like the 14th game, I think, for us and Crystal Palace. 14 games into a season, and there's literally, if Crystal Palace were to win, they could go as high as 9th. They currently sit 12th. Now, if they were to lose, and teams around them were to win, so even like the likes of Newcastle, Leeds, they could drop to 14th. It's very, very close, very, very tight in this league, up and down it. And that's good for the neutrals, like for those that, or for those that maybe if you're not a Liverpool supporter, you want us to lose or whatever, hey, you know what, it's competitive up the top. We're on 28 points, Tottenham are behind us with 25, Southampton and Leicester both on 24, Everton on 23, United are on 23, Chelsea are on 22, and then 21 for West Ham, 20 for Man City, Southampton are also on 20 as well. Things can change in literally like a week or two, and the Christmas period is going to be completely vital for all of this as well. So, looking at Crystal Palace, the players they will have available, let's have a look at who they're going to be missing. Benteke, Nathan Ferguson, Hennessy, Martin Kelly, Sacco, and Connor Wickham. That's what they've got so far. There could be some changes in there as well. So the SofaScore app has gone for a predicted lineup of Guaita in goal, Nathaniel Klein, Kouyaté, Scott Dan, Patrick Van Aanholt. That's your back line. Then you've got Schlupp, Riedewald, however you say that name, MacArthur, Eze as your midfield, and maybe some wide players as well there. And then Jordan Ayew and Zaha as your front two. And that's not a bad team whatsoever. The guy that I'm looking at the most, it has to be Eberechi Eze. Whenever I've watched Crystal Palace play recently, and I haven't watched a lot this season, but he is the guy that catches my eye the most. That man looks so fluid on the ball all the time. It's just like a natural sort of thing for him. Like the ball is meant to be at his feet and controlled by his feet. He just looks like such a fluid player, a very creative player as well. Someone that's not afraid to go try and take on a man or maybe, use some trickery to try and get past a man or open the play up, or to try and open himself a little bit of space so he can find a pass to a Zaha or a Jordan Ayew or maybe a Benteke when he was available. He is a very, very good footballer to watch. Like, I'm not going to look forward to watching him play if he gets that sort of freedom on that left-hand side, so he'll be on Trent's side. He might get a little bit of luck here or there. But he's a very, very tricky player. Young player at 22 years old as well. But he is looking like a very, very good signing for Crystal Palace. And he's contributing as well. Very, very well. I want to see if I can get some of his individual stats here. I'm not sure that I can at the moment. No, I can't. But he's one of the highest rated players that plays for Crystal Palace. I can totally see it. Whenever I've seen him play, he just looks like the controller. Quite quick as well, tricky. He's got good passing, isn't afraid to try and take a shot on as well. He's the guy, as well as obviously Zaha. Zaha's the man that leads that team. He's the guy that everyone looks to get the goals. And when he's cutting in off the left-hand side as well, you've got to look out for those, those beautiful curved balls that he'll try and put in the back of the net as well. It's going to be, for me, I think it's going to be a difficult game, purely because we always know how Crystal Palace try and set up against, a top six team or like a team that's as good as ours. They will want to sit back, frustrate us and hit us on the break, and they've got the players to do that. Schlupp is playing much further forward than I think he's ever played. I always knew him as a left back, and I've seen him play as striker for Crystal Palace in games that they've won as well. You got Zaha, dangerous player as well. Eze, dangerous player. Jordan Ayew, on his day, dangerous player. For me, they've got more attacking options these days than they've had in more recent times. Just even going back a couple of years. These guys are going to, if they get a chance, they'll probably take it, and hopefully we don't give them too many chances. But hey, we've got to play the game that's in front of us. That's what we've got to do. I think that with the lineup that I put out or talked you through just a few minutes ago, I think that's a good enough lineup to get a victory here. But make no mistake, I say this about pretty much every game, and even I will when we play Sheffield United again. Tough game, really tough game. No game is a given in the Premier League. We see that week in, week out. And if we can somehow keep some form of level of consistency going forward, then I think we can get a positive result here as well. What I would also like us to see as well, whether we can do it or not, I don't know. I'd love us to get a clean sheet. Now, it's away from home. It's going to be difficult. I'd love us to get a clean sheet, but I'm actually going for a 2-1 Liverpool victory. I do think that Crystal Palace will get chances. I wouldn't be surprised if Crystal Palace went ahead first. And I don't know why. I'm literally just telling you what I'm feeling, and I'm just verbalizing it. That's all I'm doing is what I'm feeling in here, and I'm telling you about it. I think that Crystal Palace could go ahead first, and then we come back and we put the pressure on, and we come out at 2-1 winners. If we go out there and we put in a performance like we did against Leicester, like we did against Wolves, or anything like that, great, fantastic. I'm all over that, and I love that. That's fantastic. But I just think that Crystal Palace are going to be a tough team to play, as they always are for a top six team, I should say. But 2-1 to Liverpool, that's what I'm predicting. Let me know what you think in the comments below as well. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do feel free to like it, and feel free to subscribe if you'd like to as well. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please do take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you later.